Man, can you believe this is like the bajillionth video I've made on iCarly?
What? Can you believe that?
It seems impossible that is possible.
I don't normally do this.
Welcome to iCarly Thursdays. Yes, you heard me right. From now on, up until the end of the first season of the iCarly revival, we are going to be covering the latest episode every single week on Thursdays, while still having regular content come out every Tuesday and Friday as well. So we're just gonna have more content overall, and I think that's pretty cool. Maybe not for my sleep schedule, but you know, that's been messed up for years, so what's a few more weeks, or years, or decades? Thank you to today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare is a service that I have used to help hone some of my crafts, whether it be writing, editing, or something useful in my personal life. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and much, much more. Like in my free time, I want to learn how to become a better cook. And yeah, there's a ton of classes on that. I also personally took a class by YouTuber Marquez Brownlee of MKBHD about YouTube success, scripting, shooting, and editing, a very insightful class that has helped me personally sit down and better focus my script writing. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And so that you can try this yourselves, Skillshare is actually offering the first 1,000 of my subscribers who click the link in the description a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Thanks so much again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. All right, let's get into it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure to hit that like button and I'll stream on Twitch again one day. Or just hit it because you enjoy the video. That's cool too. Episode 8. I Love Gwen. This episode centers around Millicent, Freddie, and his ex-wife and Millicent's mother, Gwen, and her coming back to town to see Millicent's school play. Yes, Freddie got the A plot. Also, Harper makes a joke about Kanye.
It's so sad that it's not relevant.
Like Kanye.
Right as he's literally dropping an album. Anyway, we find out a lot of backstory, a lot of filling in those gaps that a majority of us have been questioning since the start of the revival. We get told about what Gwen does for work and why she isn't in Millicent's life as much as Freddie is, for Gwen being the mother. When she arrives, we see Carly and her having a bickering battle, attacking each other in front of everyone in the room, but when Freddie offers Gwen to stay over at his apartment while in town, Carly walks her out into the hall and it's revealed that they're actually close friends and pretend to feud in front of Freddie, so he thinks that she is on his side when the divorce happened. We find shortly after that for Millicent's play, the costume designer and the set decorator dropped out, and she wrangles and convinces Harper and Spencer, with compliments and the promise of a prize being won by the most outstanding aspect of the production, to come aboard and volunteer their time. And this causes that competitive nature of one-upping each other that we've seen plenty between Harper and Spencer, which now this really does seem like it'll be a reoccurring B plot when the episodes shift their direction heavily on one singular portion. Carly, now over at Freddie's apartment with Gwen, finds a heart-shaped locket when Gwen leaves the room that has both pictures of Freddie and Gwen inside, leaving Carly to believe that Gwen still likes Freddie. And also, Freddie's apartment looks the exact same as it did back in the day, so that's pretty cool. Look at those pictures of vacuums. Mwah, love it. Back at Spencer's apartment, we hear Freddie talking about what he misses the most about Gwen, and that's her enchiladas.
Muchachaladas.
Literally. Enchiladas.
Muchachaladas.
But Millicent enters secretly mid-conversation, overhearing everything being said and interpreting it as not the enchiladas and that he loves and misses Gwen herself. The child literally overhearing that there's a chance her parents could get back together. She runs over back to her place to find Carly and the locket, and both realize that they think the same thing, that Freddie and Gwen both like each other once again. And as Millicent wants to start nudging them closer to make this happen, Carly is hesitant at first but is quickly persuaded because she's Carly and she must interfere if she feels she's doing the right thing. We also get the return once again of Miss Benson, and because of the Parent Trap idea of putting both Freddie and Gwen in the same room and recreating their first date night, Miss Benson gets to have a sleepover at Carly and Harper's place. And we see her having all the same safety first mannerisms and overbearingness, but she feels she's letting loose because she's never been invited to a sleepover. Back at Freddie's, we see him already having known what's going on thanks to a note, and Gwen Gwen walking in, finding the surprise. They begin to have a chat about everything going on and show off how they are handling the divorced life. We find out that Millicent's original father actually passed away before Freddy came around, as well as these two don't share the same feelings of getting back together. But they are really close and know how to work as co-parents. And Gwen also reveals that she is seeing someone and doesn't know how to tell Millicent. Carly and Millicent want to go actually spy on the date, so they try leaving the apartment only to get stopped by Harper and Spencer having parts of their competition happening and just getting in the way. Carly tricks them into competing at finishing the puzzle first with Mrs. Benson while they dip out. When they clearly peek through the door, seriously, what in the sitcom logic of not seeing them is happening? They are in clear view. Regardless, they overhear Freddy and Gwen's conversation once again, and what they interpreted was them waiting to tell Millicent they are slowly working on getting back together was in actuality them discussing her new relationship and when she was going to tell her. Fast forwarding to the play, things are all over the place, with Harper and Spencer's competition at its peak, with Spencer's bread made set falling apart and them trying to get the audience to vote on what is better, the costumes or the set. Backstage, Millicent tells Carly that after her monologue, she's going to open her heart out to Freddy and Gwen about being happy that they are getting back together, and Carly is excited for her to do so. Now in the audience, Carly sits next to Freddy and Gwen as she can't contain not knowing that they are back into each other when it's revealed to her that's not what's actually going on. The necklace is for Millicent to have, so she knows that they both love her and that she is going to tell her that she is actually seeing someone new, which makes Carly confused that Gwen didn't tell her about her new relationship. And that breaks the secret that they were actually friends, and Freddy is slightly peeved about it because of one, being lied to all this time, and two, that she lied about a specific trip that she went to go see her father when she really went to go visit Gwen and feed sea turtles by hand. But that's not good, as Millicent is about to go on stage and blurt out how happy she is for them to be back together. So Carly rushes backstage to try and stop her, but the curtains open up and we have Spencer, in Spencer fashion, fixing up the set with peanut butter to stick the bread back on. This bit happens again and it's as great as you can imagine. And Carly tries to warn Millicent from the side of the stage as she's delivering lines, but she isn't understanding. So she takes the boy's hat who is supposed to go out on stage and pretends to act while telling Millicent not to go through with her plan, which ends up leading Carly to eventually just break down and tell her the truth that her parents aren't getting back together, thus fully ruining the play. And just when the tension hits the most, Spencer breaks through the back bread wall to tie up the ruining of the play overall. After the play, we have a nice moment between Millicent and her parents as they explain and go over everything, and she reacts to it pretty well, mainly excited that she will still have 2 birthdays and 2 Christmases. Spencer and Harper come to the conclusion that Millicent tricked them with no real prize to just help her with the play. And then when they were called to the principal's office as if they were in trouble for how they handled themselves for the play, mainly Spencer and his crazy bread antics, they return happy with ribbons and a role as co-chairs of the PTA that they each treat as their own prizes and feel satisfied. Carly gets called into the principal's office, but not for a good reason. As she walks away, everyone gives her the ooh that someone would get when they get called out of class to go to the principal's office for being in trouble. And then it ends.
Ring, ring, ring. Hello? Creativity Monthly? Why, yes, I will be on your cover. Click.
All right, wow, another solid episode from the iCarly revival, I must say. If you watched last week's video, you know how much criticism I had, for example, episode 6, but how episode 7, written by Francesca Ramsey, was a huge improvement, fixing on so many of the personal issues I was noticing with the show thus far. Here in episode 8, we follow that trend by having another solid episode delivered to us that goes the distance of making sure it hits all those same notes once again. First, the mature way they show handling a divorced couple. In our minds, maybe just mine, we built up this whole thing about Millicent's mom being this absent, not as caring, and possibly self-absorbing person. But it throws that great curveball of expectations out the window of who she really is and how much she actually does love her daughter and her love for Freddy for the time they did share, as well as how they come together for their daughter no matter what. Of course, not all divorces are this clean in real life. Some can get pretty nasty, and the kid or kids are usually the ones most affected by it. So instead of portraying her as this evil, nasty woman who only comes around when she wants and bosses around Freddy, etc., and Freddy throwing back an equal amount of toxicity towards her, we get a pretty cool marine biologist mom who cares about Millicent and still works towards a great relationship with Freddy. And it's great to see Freddy have the full-on A-plot this time around. While we do spend time with Carly and Millicent trying to push the two together, seeing more of Freddy's backstory, learning more about this history in general helps fill in those ambiguous gaps we had since episode 1. Millicent's character here was also great. She still has those bossy and attitude-driven moments, but in full-on benefit of the story to drive the B-plot for Harper and Spencer, rather than just for the heck of it. The smile and joy it brings to her when she thought she heard Freddy still in love with her mom, and seeing them at dinner thinking everything was going well, it's great to see her break from her shell a bit more. Learn possibly why she's been so reserved and why she has this defensive nature about her. Having her dad pass away at a young age and then have Freddy and her mom not work out in divorce, it's just also heartbreaking, as now you know the real truth about them not really getting together, and that will eventually come out after she got her hopes up. And when it does come out, she surprisingly does take it well. She looks on the bright side and all is right, with all three of them together in that moment, knowing that no matter what, they are still family. The feud between Spencer and Harper was pretty fun, just these quick little gags of them trying to best one another as they become closer as friends. Literally, the start of the episode is them playing pool together. The bread gag that Spencer pulls off is one of the best yet for Spencer in general. It's quick, it's funny, and it gave me that iCarly energy that a portion of this new series hasn't had yet. And also the fact that the set is made out of bread low-key is important to me. Originally, since Spencer is rich, he was going to have the set be this expensive, eloquent sandstone, but later on realizes that bread just kind of looks like sandstone, it's lighter to move around, and it's more creative, as he puts it, taking away the allure of him having money now to him going back to his creative inventor roots that we all know and love. Another note, having more Miss Benson was great. She still plays the character very well, and similar to Freddy, drops random Spanish words mid-sentence.
Just us chicas.
Just connecting them closer and knowing where he might have gotten into saying so many randomly in sentences. Another small detail that I think is very well done. And by the end of the episode, it is fully wrapped up. Older episodes may have handled Carly being friends with Gwen as the final moment with no real resolution. Here we get that resolution and a fun moment of reveal for Freddy. The competition between Spencer and Harper has a clear shot end and resolution pushing their friendship further. Millicent in general had great character development and ends this episode a more relatable and understanding character. This felt like the old iCarly while giving it that new age, slightly more adult seasoning on top. This is now 2 weeks in a row where a lot of the issues in the first few episodes are not present here. Maybe aside from the full-on lack of iCarly in iCarly, but now it's what to be expected at this point. Some episodes will feature something related to it, others won't. Hey, maybe instead of just credits at the end, it plays moments of the web show or the content she is currently making, just something to spice up the credits and give us a little look into the web show and where it's truly at in terms of content. Other than that, I truly enjoyed this week's episode. I can't wait to see if this upswing in quality continues on. That was this week's episode of the iCarly revival. You heard my thoughts, now I would love to hear yours down below in the comments. Were you feeling this episode? Were you not? Please feel free to share. I appreciate you all checking out the video. It means a lot to me that you choose to spend a few moments of your day with me. Hit that like button if you want to see more videos like this, and it truly helps out the video. I'll be back every Thursday for the rest of season 1 for iCarly Thursdays, so I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Subscribe to be a part of my journey through movies and television and how these films and shows affected my life from the past and present. I'll be back soon with another video, but until then, later.